Going on, good people? What's up? Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world right now. My name is MC Till, co-author of the Boom Bap Review and co-host of the Boom Bap Chat. What you're tuning into right now, number 75. We got a really phenomenal guest in the building. Has done some great things. Is going to be doing some incredible things down the line. We're going to get into all of that, but you know the drill. First, I have to tell you, if you're looking for some dope music, head on over to Everybody's Records here in Cincinnati, Ohio, and Pleasant Ridge. If you can't get over there, if you're in Australia or wherever you're tuning in, you can always check them out online at everybodysrecords.com. And as we're plugging, we got to plug the books. We write books every year about the boom bap hip hop that we love. This is volume 2 right here. Boom. Boom Bap Review Volume 2. You can get it. You can get Volume 1 and Volume 3 is on pre-sale. You can pre-order it right now. Save some money if you get it now. You can check that out at boombapreview.com. As always, in the room, we have co-host Profound. Profound, how are you, my friend?
Doing well, brother. How you doing, Till?
Man, I'm doing very, very well. Our brother Iomas Marad has the night off, so he's chilling with
Yeah.
family. So peace and love to him if you're tuning in.
Peace, IO.
Yo, our guest tonight, I'm so excited that he is here on our 75th episode of the Boom Bap Chat because I grew up just loving Pete Rock and CL Smooth. I've just been a huge fan of them for ages. Their albums, even though they only put out a few albums, I just love them to death. And Pete Rock makes dope beats for a lot of cats, but it's rare when a cat jumps on Pete Rock and does a full album, a full project, and you're like, wow, this is phenomenal. This is amazing. It kind of gave me the same feeling I got when I listened to Pete Rock and CL back in the day, and that's saying a lot because I love those guys together. And this MC is just getting started. I can tell much more than an MC. He's got a lot to say. He's got thought-provoking lyrics. He's inspiring. He challenges you. He does all that and more. We're gonna get into all that. So please, Profound, you and I, we got to clap it up big time tonight.
Yep.
Just two of us. Please give a nice warm welcome to our guest, Amir.
Yeah. Yeah.
Real
Yeah.
claps. Amir,
Yeah.
welcome to the show, man.
Yeah, thank you, our brothers for having me, man. For real, man, means a
Yeah.
lot.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Really appreciate you being here. We call this the Boom Bap Chat. So we're always curious of our guests what that term means to them. Have you thought about this before? What does Boom Bap mean to you?
Um, it means, well, I think it became monetized and to a
Mm,
degree. Well, it was never boom bap; it was always hip hop, right? So when boom bap was what commercial labels would call it when they didn't, they tried to put a title on a feeling about or a particular soundscape that was used in hip hop. Boom bap does talk about a certain pocket, but I know what to some people essentially what it would mean is like you're in a pure space with your music and how you kind of maneuver. It's kind of closer to um, those that era of like you're close to hip hop in its pure form of beat, artists, and no additives, no preservatives. Boom bap to me what means that you're close to the soul of hip hop, close to the
mm,
essence. You're very, you're pulling from that. So boom bap to me specifically, which is subjective,
yeah.
When we talk about the breakdancing, the graffiti, the music, and all of that is being combined to combine with boom bap culture, supposed to me, but or hip hop itself. But boom bap to me is a certain type of production too. Um, and of course, when you got like a Primo or Pete Rock or certain guys or a Jay Dilla or Alchemist or Heat Makers and guys that produce those records that hit you like that, to me that's what boom bap is to the immense.
Yeah, it made me think about like labels, that we place on. Do you think hip hop has, I don't know what the word is, evolved, I guess, into a place where you think it needs these like subgenres and these labels to describe the different styles of hip hop that are out there? If you would even call that hip hop?
Um, I like the evolution of it.
Yeah.
I'm not against what it's becoming or what it came from. I think when you put corporate influence on it, it takes away. There's a corporate influence versus an artistic influence, and you have this tug between what is artistically correct or accountable versus what, their bottom line is a dollar, right? So that I'm here to make profit. So regardless of what, the masses, what you feel in your heart or your soul, that doesn't matter if it's not putting money on, in somebody's wallet in some of the buildings. But, boom bap culture doesn't play by those same parameters. It's kind of like some people can't survive in boom bap culture and still make it to those stages, but it's not an everyday occurrence. So you just got to be, thankful that when you're in a position to be heard, that you do the right thing with it.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I like that. Do the right thing with it. Yeah. For people that have not heard your music, how would you describe the production that you tend to lean towards and record to?
I like soul shaking production. It
Mm.
doesn't be a sample to be soul shaking. I like stuff that evokes or invokes emotion, good, bad, or ugly, just to a
Mm.
point where you feel it. I like music you feel, like really feel, like me personally. That's things I naturally gravitate, those type of sounds.
Yeah. Yeah. That's dope. Well, I certainly gravitate towards the stuff you're gravitating towards because you're the stuff you putting out is dope. Yeah, profound. You feel me? Profound. I want to
Mm-hmm.
swing it to you. We talked about production a little bit. Any questions from the lyrical side of things?
Um, just do you have I know as an MC sometimes I struggle with this when you're putting together your content. Do you find yourself at times caught up in trying to be too clever with the words? Sometimes I know I have that issue a lot, man, where I might have to step back off of something sometimes because it's like, okay, I think I'm overthinking it right now. Like I'm trying to be too witty right here, or I'm trying to make this metaphor fit, and you know what I mean? And I like to ask MCs that like, is that something that's universal?
Um, for me, that used to happen to me a lot, but um, I made a promise to myself years ago to never overthink or underthink that I'm doing something creatively, right? And I live by that when I create. Anybody will tell you that. I don't overthink, underthink, really just hit the button and go. If I gotta come back and make like technical corrections or make sure that my enunciation is proper or I'm in pocket. But that initial attack, I try to attack on like one stream of consciousness, right? I don't, I really, and then, I'm not a spiritualist, right? But I'm gonna say this to you, right? For me, I came to realization this year, like as when you're recording records that have a heavy gravitational pull on it, that I said, Amir, like when you're a voice or something, bro. Like I realize as long as I know that I'm not bigger than the message that I'm saying,
Mm,
right? I'm a voice for the message, but I'm not bigger than the message. I will always get used by the energy of life or whatever you want to call it as a vessel for said messages or said little encrypted slick shit that I could say via music. And once I was able to take and understand my place in that and know that I will never be in front of that, because everything we ever say, our words will always behind it, right? So physically,
hmm
so I had to really study, what being, using your words really mean. Because I'm not, like I said, I'm not, one of those guys that try to, spiritualize everything. But when you really think about the effect of word and frequency and what you say, it's a responsibility that comes with it. That's for us, right? But I realized that once I was never bigger than the message. The messenger is never bigger than the message. And if the messenger thinks he's bigger than the message he's conveying, you will no longer be used for the message because you can't be bigger
Mm.
than something that existed before you got here.
Man, well said, brother.
Yeah, thank
Yeah. Yo, that's dope. So, is there is there a lifestyle or like things that you practice that help that message kind of flow through you, easier or naturally?
yeah, man. This is gonna sound like some crazy.
Go ahead, man. You good?
When I'm recording, right, and Pete will tell you this. Like, this is advice to him. He said, I don't want you changing nothing about the way you talk, the way you dress, eat, whatever. I signed you. He kept saying, yo, do that piece, beloved, that you do. Don't change up. Because I was nervous. I mean, of course, it's a lot of pressure. You coming behind the main ingredient. Now, let's be realistic. The type of pressure, gravity that will shake any man up that understands what hip hop is. Like, bro, you're the only artist he signed tenure in hip hop, right? It's, as a solo artist to his label, right? And you're his flagship guy. So I had to allow that to filter first and get not really comfortable with it, but understand what it was, So I guess what I'm saying is, man, that is I really just my process. I speak to the same 5 people every day. Like when I'm recording, if I started speaking to you and 3 other people, I only spoke to the people that were I was speaking to when I started the process until I finished, because I didn't want any energy outside of that wasn't conducive to what I was trying to, you know, create to contaminate it. If one of the 5 people gave me funny vibes, I'm cutting it down to 4, 3, 2, 1. So at the end of the day, when I got like for the process, me and Pete did for Dope Boy Soul, it was 29 records we did. He used 13. But everybody will tell you, I spoke to the same 5 people for 21 grams, and I spoke to those same 5 people for Dope Boy Soul. I didn't, and it's people were offended that I'm family and friends, but I didn't speak to them on purpose because I needed to be in this zone I was in to complete it, and I didn't need that zone to be tampered with somebody else. I think we should do this. I don't want to hear that. I'm dealing with the people that are part of this process, and we're gonna go back. And I would look at YouTube to stuff. I would live normal life, but as far as speaking to people, that's what I did to keep myself in that zone and constantly keep me motivated to do so.
Well, it sounds like it paid off, with 21 grams, because
Thank,
that's a really, really great project. And if you're
thank
just tuning in and you've not heard this project, you need to go listen to it. It's 21 grams. And I was curious to know, uh, you can buy the vinyl, right?
Mhm.
I don't think it's on CD or any other,
No,
and you can't stream it very many places. I think it's on not Instagram. It's on
uh,
SoundCloud, I believe,
audio map.
YouTube, Audio
Mhm.
Mac. There you go.
And
Um,
somebody took it. Somebody was able to get it and put it on YouTube. I don't care how they. I don't really.
do you know why it wasn't on the streaming services?
Yes, absolutely. For you know sample clearances and business practice, right? Those are some huge samples on that 21 grams that would have eaten a budget alive, right? So we knew if we put it, and then it's Pete doing the production, there would have been multiple, people coming at his head, lawsuits, whatever. So we had to give it away and give it away because streaming services, somebody it's monetized. But if they had a way you could put it on Apple Music or Spotify and it'd be non-monetized project, we would have put it there. But we couldn't because we knew that the stream somebody will make some money. So we couldn't put it anywhere that it will cause legal issues. So we had to go the super free route. And even on some of the mixtape sites where it still was getting a little sticky, so we stuck to it that way. In his head, he was just saying like, the people that are fans of Pete Rock and what he does will find it, and it
Yeah.
will kind of grow and it'll spread organically, And it really was just really to give people a feel for how me and him were meshed together, to get kind of like layup line stuff. So, but it definitely shortened the access and visibility to it. Right, we knew that would happen, but the people that did access it and and caught their eye, and those are the people that we know went looking for it and really. When time for Dope Boy Soul, when it's going to be more promotion, it'll be, see, this is the guy I was telling you about, and it'll be, and of course, that's going to be everywhere, right? So that was the plan.
Is that why it's called a mixtape and not an album?
Yes,
Okay.
but so the vinyl portion was for fans that like to collect vinyl and have memorabilia, right? And they made a limited run of it. So, and that was more or less, you know, Pete because he has that following of, his following people snatch up his vinyls a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a phenomenal project.
Thank you.
Yeah. So you say you talked to 5 people in the recording of that project and 5 people in the recording of Dope Boy Soul. How long did Dope Boy Soul take to make?
7 weeks, 7, 8 weeks straight.
And what was that like? Was it kind of like going on a hip hop retreat, so to speak? Were you in the studio every day? Were you living like normal life and going to the studio here and there?
Well, I wrote a lot of it. Pre-production was me, recording myself, and then you got to go into me and my man G Weeks, actually, we would, I record, he'll mix, I'll record, he'll mix it, and we'll kind of do the prepping for Pete and Jamie when we take it to the senseis and they tell us what no yay nay, right? So I recorded it, and then when you walk it into Pete, um, that's when the chopping begins. Like, nah, yeah, no, yes, and the first couple of records was rough, man. Not creatively, but just getting acclimated to his album mode process. Mixtape mode, he's a lot more lax. Have fun, right? Album mode, he told me, he said, bro, the album's we're not approaching it like this. And I heard when he told me that. We got in there, it was me, him, and Jamie. That shit, it was strictly business, man. It was fun. It was a learning experience. But he hit a different button. I didn't see that button before. And when I seen his face and how serious he was, I had to put on a different hat, and I had to re-record a lot of the records too, to for so we didn't compromise the integrity of the sound of the vocals, because we wanted it to be seamless from out record to record. So him and Jamie definitely took me through the Pete Rock boot camp of presets of this is how you need to set your records up when you hand them over to me. And I've been using that format ever since. The album has worked for me a lot. Learned a lot. Jamie taught me a lot about the sound and how things should sound and how to use certain presets for my voice. So he did like a voice. Um, Jamie did like this thing with my voice. He just studied it, and he said, "Yo, you need this kind of mic. Go get this mic when you record at home, and you need to be here with your sounds or whatever." And when I did what he told me to do, it was it just sounded, yeah, a lot way better. I mean, I was good before, but sound wise,
Mm.
it's the texture of the voice of my voice. I don't think it changed, but it changed the way it sounded by him telling me to do these little tricks along the way. And then I was in alignment with him and Pete now. So when I turned over my vocals and we record now, I don't have to um, stress, is it okay? Is it sound right? I'm right where he needs it when I hand it over. So it's like handing a baton over, and it becomes that. But it's and once we got there, it was the rest of the album was smooth. Me and Pete was knocking out on the average as far as the mixing and the beats. He was laying down the tracks over and doing his Pete thing to it. On the average, it's 13 records on there. We did about 2 to 3 records a day, right? 2.5, let's say average, but three most days, 2 or 3 per day.
That's
And
dope.
we like so, and then he 16. It was 29 records out the bundle. We picked 13.
What was your relationship like with Pete Rock before recording this album and obviously 21 grams?
I lived in the house. The basement on Hillside Avenue. I moved to Hillside Avenue years ago, and they had already left the block, right? So I came clearly after them, right? But they, um, the house that I lived in, the basement was downstairs. See that? So with him and so on Hillside Avenue, like if this is Hillside where I was at, everybody know he lives on 77 Hillside. I was at 71 Hillside. So same side of the street one house was in between, and then it was the house I was living at, and we was there. Um, and my relationship with him, last 10 years, man, has been a relationship of like a little brother, big brother. I would, I wouldn't harass him for beats, but he would throw me beats and stuff like that, and I didn't understand his process, so I would take the beats and pick, like if it was 12, I would pick one and keep it moving, not knowing that he literally handed me over an album he wanted me to you know, run right to all 12. I'm thinking I'm not writing to all of these. I'm writing to the ones I like. And then at that time, I was recording with my friend Arsonist from the Heatmakers. Um, but Pete, my relationship is family vibes. It's not just. It's definitely beyond the music. This is not. I'm not just the guy he signed and you nice, but it's definitely. That's definitely a major part of it. But it's a family over here, man. And we keep it and we move like we move as such. When I graduated college in 2015, 2016, his sisters was at my graduation, so it's not like, this is not like a you know it's beyond the music at this point. It was beyond the music before we did the deal, but the deal, I was shocked, just as shocked as everybody else, but you know, it, and then I had to take some time to recalibrate to let it sink in. But it's always been a family vibe and big brother, little brother vibe. But it's a mutual respect for each other as men. So he'll tell me something about myself. I'll tell him things about himself respectfully, but it's never no arguments or nothing like that with each other. We don't do that ever. It's just too much respect for each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that, man. And for those tuning in, if you don't know, Pete Rock, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Amir, but Pete Rock recently started True Soul Records,
Hmm.
his record label.
2 years.
And
It might have been longer than that, but yeah, met for a couple of years now.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, but I mean, not back in the
Yeah.
90s, like
Yeah.
recent era.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, and has Amir as his first artist on the label. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That's what I thought. So, I mean, someone like me that just like Pete Rock isn't one of my favorite producers of all times. One of my favorite MCs too. I love him on the mic. So smooth, got that great voice. Um, and man, he and it's you. Like you are the first, debut artist on Pete Rock's label. Like, did that hit you? I mean, you mentioned a little bit earlier, like what you said you had to recalibrate a little bit. Like, what was going through your mind when you realized, like, oh shoot, I'm going to be the
I was, I
it.
was cheesing, like I'm cheesing now. It's kind of like, damn. He had to tell me. He said, "Hey, man, we got work to do. All that ain't all this cheesing ain't gonna fix it. Let's get to work." So, he let me. He understood that I was excited. He let me. He allowed me the room to be excited, and we had a lot of conversations about where I'm picking up from, why he did it. Um, And even on some of the interviews, people would ask, like, why you? Why? Some dude just came out this year and said, right in front of me. The first time somebody asked that question in front of me, I was just so nervous to hear what he was going to say. So the interview, it was, might have been February, January this year. And they was like, yo, why me? Like you said, like, you're the first guy, why him? And Pete was just like, I gave this guy 11 beats. He said, of course, there's a million artists, or 10,000 artists I could sign that would come over and work with me and do a deal. He said, but it wasn't just necessarily about just the artistry. I wanted somebody that, as a complete person, I vibe with them. The, the the pedigree of this person had to be, mesh well with him. He said, but sonically, this is what I didn't know why he did it. He said, well, I gave him 11 beats, 12 beats, whatever. He brought the beats back to me. He said I kind of heard his voice on my production, but I didn't know how he would sound. He said when Amir gave me the beats back, he started playing the beats. He alone, doing his Pete thing. He said the beats. He said his voice matched my beats perfectly. Where his voice is at now was a match made in heaven for where my production is at now.
Mm.
So it wasn't just all of those other little nuances and boxes you check. It was the voice. He was saying that my voice matched his production where it's at now. So that was a major reason for him pushing the button, and how would I would have never known that. Like, that your voice matures and you kind of because you mentioned it earlier, like the voice over his beats. Yeah, that's what he said. He was like, my voice matching his production currently. So that was one of the reasons.
Yo, I can see that profound. I'm sure you can see that as an avid, hip hopper. Yeah, I can totally see that. Like your voice, and it's smooth. It's got that smooth delivery, but it's not too smooth. It's got a little angst in there, but it's just yeah. I can see that totally.
It's right in the
Profound.
pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, man.
It's right in the pocket. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely it's beyond where it needs to be.
Mm, yeah.
Thank
So, Dope Boy Soul, the new album. Do you have any ideas of when this might come out, or is that more a Pete Rock question?
It's more of a peak question, man. But it's done. We still recording though. We still record all on a regular semi beats. Like get busy. Then I be in the crib doing target practice on everybody else beats and just knocking joints out with my people I deal with or friends and people that artists that are my friends and I'm cool with that I've been messing with for years. We always spar with each other. Producer to artist, artist to artist to keep yourself sharp, man. So.
So, so if Pete Rock came in tomorrow and said, Amir, for your next project, I want someone else to produce the whole thing, and I'll get you anybody you want. Who would you tap to produce an entire Amir project with Pete Rock's blessing?
That I think would get me and stretch it out. Huh.
We stomped him. Profound.
I would call my man Arsonist.
From Heat Makers.
That's my man. I would go
Yeah.
Arsonist. He knows me well enough as a friend. He knows exactly how to tailor the suit. So I think me and him would do something crazy.
That's dope. I love hearing like, you mentioned he's a friend,
Yeah,
and you talked about Pete Rock and, just kind of the family aspect there that you just kind of knew him. I love that about you. That is, obviously you're doing your thing. You're handling your business because the music sounds great, but there's an element of just humanity,
absolutely,
underneath.
absolutely, absolutely. I think that it has to be that way if you want to make history, you want to make impactful records. You can do the cookie cut beat rap, lead the studio, oh, this is fire. That's mechanical. But when the person, type of sneakers they wear, the way they smell, their clothes, shit things that they into, it kind of makes it easier to uh to make something. In my opinion, make something for them. Then some people just get a feel for you and don't know you and make something crazy as well. But they have to have a feel and a vibe for you and know what you into. In my opinion,
Yeah.
um, it increases the chances of you making good music.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think I don't think we can put like too many limitations on how one can make great music. But I
Yeah.
agree. When you're with someone, you're knowing them, you're feeling the chemistry. It's like when you practice. When you practice and get in the game, you play better, generally speaking.
Mhm.
I want to bring in a few voices here that are on Facebook with us tonight. My man Marcus, what's up, Marcus? He's always tuning in. Really appreciate you, Marcus. He's asking, what artists do you look up to, Amir?
Oh, today, um, I look up, man, to do they have to be alive? Or so
Nah.
I'll say before I was a fan of Nipsey, man, way
Mm.
before when on Bullets Got No Name mixtape, right? And it wasn't about his lyrical prowess. It was more or less what he stood for. Like outside of the gang culture, I saw through that and I heard a man that understood direction. Um, so he was one person I was listening to before, his untimely demise, right? I've also been a fan of like Nas, Kendrick, Jay, Kanye. I'm definitely a Griselda fan. Um, it's just I'm really outcast. I like a bunch of artists, man. I look up to anybody that has made impact in the culture and they didn't compromise the integrity of who they were as a person, because it takes a lot to stand in front of mics and not lose yourself when people want you to be something because they like seeing you that way as opposed to how you like seeing yourself. Um, But those are just to name a few, man. I mean, I'm a Raekwon fan. I'm a Raekwon and Ghost out of the Wu-Tang. I like the whole Wu, but Ray and Ghost is somebody I look up to. I like their style. I always like their style, man. Damn, so, bro, it's a bunch of artists, West Coast artists. I've always like everybody out of that Drake camp to me was always fire. He know how to pick them, man. Yeah, and just and even when I think I like Rick Ross too. I'm a huge fan of Ross. A bunch of guys, man, like J. Cole, like, you know, and it don't, and I like trap stuff too. So it's not like I'm just on some, this, but I like a lot of it. Um, lately, Meek, Drake, of course, those type of guys that actually, but that kid Vori out of his camp, the R&B guy, man, and a very dope mixtape. Vori stuff is tough. I like Sampa from overseas. It's a bunch of artists, man. I like have a wide range of stuff. I like Tame Impala. I like different genres of music too. So
Yeah, that's dope. I love hearing when artists, like a wide range of art,
mhm.
and I also really love when artists come on here, that give newer artists a chance and appreciate what they bring to the table.
Absolutely,
Yeah, yeah, cool. Well,
pushes,
what's that?
that pushes everything forward. That evolution got to take place. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Profound. Anything on your head before we move forward? Any thoughts, questions?
Nah, man, we good, man. I love this brother, man.
Thank you, man.
I look, I'm writing down who his favorite artists are: Nas, Kendrick, Griselda, Outkast, Jay, Ghost, Ray, Dre, Rick Ross, J. Cole. Yeah, I'm on it.
Yeah, thank you,
I'm
man.
feeling. I'm feeling that. I mean, I think one thing is it's hard to not mention Griselda. Man. Hey,
What?
man, them
It, it,
cats, man.
it's been an interesting, very interesting Griselda year for me since signing the P, because people have made that I always, even in interviews. I mean, we didn't get to it yet, but people in most interviews always mention, so people compare you to put you in the same lane as a Griselda artist, and I'm like, I can see how, but then again, I understand like if they're talking from a hip hop purist standpoint, I could see why they would do that. People even I did an interview before, and this guy was talking to me about, you know, their top 5 or top 10 new lyricists in hip hop for 2021, and they were mentioning. They always ask me that question, like, how do you feel about it, or people compare you to them, and not them as far as this, what you're saying, but the texture of your music is a little bit more smoother, but you kind of give elements of that vibe to your stuff, and and I take it as a compliment, man. Anytime if anybody's doing great or good music, regardless of what the context of what they're saying, the music feels good and it feels like it's real. So I respect it. Yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I think people kind of get it a little bit confused. To me, it's more like I don't think y'all are alike more so than I see how y'all's music have touched the soul of the people.
Thank you.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like I think that's what they should really say is that y'all are, I get the why they would compare it, but to me it's just like, man, y'all are touching people's souls in a way that music hasn't touched it, in a minute. So to them it seems like it's the same. But it's the same because your soul is being touched, but the
Mhm.
frequencies are different.
Yes, thank you. I know that's probably I'm gonna use that when I go forward from now. I
Yeah.
gotta take that. Thank you.
You can take it with you, brother.
Because I didn't package it like that before. I really didn't know how to package it, or take the time. It's just, yeah, there was, dudes who talk about lyricism, and I'm like, and I don't want to get into all of the isms with people when they do that. I'm like, bro, I'm not in control of how someone feels after I say it, and I had to learn that too. I don't own how you feel after I say it. I did my part. The energy, I guess you could say, flew went through me. I said what I said. How somebody feels about it, good, bad, or indifferent, is not for me to squander in. It's time for me to move forward and speak to the same 5 people and keep it moving. Yeah.
So I assume with this new Pete Rock deal, I assume people have been hitting you up more. You've probably been doing more interviews.
No, yes and no, man. I think some people are still uh, maybe scared, hesitant at this point. I feel a little bit. I definitely the interviews have definitely picked up, but they haven't hit the point where I'm like every night. There was a time even when I was signed before. Um, Me and my brother was on the grind with him. My brother Jay, man, Success Jay. We were booking interviews ourselves. Like we didn't care, how we turned over every rock, man, to get, at least some the wave going. And I think now because people know who you are attached to, they may think that you won't do the interview. You- And I would. I mean, it's a conversation. This is what life is about. And like you said, it's a humanistic standpoint here. Outside of the music, we're human beings first. The music is an added element. So I think having these conversations are it's enriching, for us, to the fiber of my person, but also just for the people getting to know who I am, and you guys as well. So and your audience. So I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. No, thank you for being here.
Mm.
Is there a question that you've ever thought like, man, I wish someone would ask me about this, or I wish they'd ask me this question, but they never do.
Um, a lot of the current events, I don't care which one it is. I'll be ready, man. Like I
So you
wish
like
people.
talking about current events?
I like to talk about whatever, is I gotta use my noodle to think about it, you know what I'm saying? Some of the questions be cookie cut. And like I said, more conversational interviews have always been more impactful. The Q&A stuff is always love, man, because you're getting introduced to an audience. But when those questions force you to have like conversational answers, not just yes, no, I'm from here, I did this, I grew up, my hood is this, I'm this, that's those. It's an interview, yeah, but is it as intriguing as like us having conversations about conversations? There's an element to it, and interviews do have a thesis, and so I would say for me, anything dealing with, you know, people scared to talk about COVID, people scared to talk about the hot topics of, sexuality or, cancel culture, stuff like that, and ask which those type of questions I feel should be, you know, pitched to artists that have the mental capacity to answer the question in a manner where they don't put themselves in the blender and the label they hold down and everything attached to them. So there's a certain, like I said, there's a certain weight that comes with responding to that. And if you're equipped to respond to it, I think, I don't think any question anybody's gonna ever ask me in an interview would ever rattle me to the point where I just would lose my cool and jump up and I don't, but yeah, I guess to the short thing, well, like, yeah, ask me, okay, man, what do you think about cancel culture and everything that it's entailing? Those type of questions. What do you think about, you know, vaccination? What do you think about things that actually are happening to us that touch the soul on a day to day? Things that have affected everybody on this conversation's life, man. Those type of questions. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, dope. Let's go there. Because you mentioned cancel culture. Um, do you think it's a real thing? Do you think cancel culture is real? I mean, how do you describe it? What do you think about it?
There's no head person of the cancel culture, right? There's no like you can't say you're the chairman of the cancel culture board. There's not that. There's a group of people that share a common belief, and that belief may be anything from sexual preference to religious preference, and they'll do it in the name of cancel culture. When cancel culture is just this uh, ideology that we've created, right, or someone created and said cancel them because you talked about somebody being gay or transgender, or cancel him because he said something that's anti-Semitic, cancel him because he said something about black people or black women, cancel them because of XYZ, right? And I think there needs to be some of it is, yeah, I don't should be um parameters should be set, right, around certain platforms when you're speaking about certain things. If that person is not equipped to have that conversation, they should have known, right? A better practice at the will driving those conversations. But there's also a constitutional right that's involved. There's an ethical and a moral dilemma in cancel culture that is not being put on the scale here, right? Whether you agree with it or not, you don't have to listen to what someone says. You don't have to watch Netflix to see what Dave Chappelle said or didn't say, right? If you don't like him talking about that, don't watch it. If you know, he made a lot of like damn near geniusly timed jokes that anybody with any level of consciousness or human understanding from kindergarten up to doctorate level degrees should have been able. He made it palatable, and he put it in a place where now those conversations, he took a mirror and put it back in your face. Yeah, you can cancel people personally, but you can't cancel them in their entire way of living. Now some people do deserve to be mandated, not mandated, let's say reprimanded for said actions, because there is a level of responsibility that comes when you're on certain stages and you say things that are derogatory or offensive, right? That's not a law. Offensively saying something, you didn't break the law, right? You broke ethical and moral code. And each person's ethical and moral code is different. There's a staple that say these 10 principles of ethical and morality of what we all live by. It's not that. Each person is going to have a different definition. So therefore, you're going to have a different reason why everybody should be canceled. Somebody may hear what I'm saying, oh, cancel him too because he didn't disagree or he didn't take a stance. No, I'm not. I'm just telling people that there's a certain power in freedom, but if your freedom impedes or hurts mine, then we need to have a discussion about what if what you're doing isn't really freedom, because now it can be considered an act of terror to some people. So I do believe that people you use these loaded terms, but they don't do the research behind what things mean, because there are a lot of nuances that are tucked underneath these movements that people don't study the fiber of
Mhm.
who's doing what and why these things are being perpetuated to popular culture. And there needs to be you know, a round table, but this round table can't be held with politicians.
Yeah.
This round table is between corporations and people, because corporations are doing the canceling because they don't want to lose what the bottom line is, the money. Cancel culture is not motivated by feelings; it's motivated by loss of money. End of the day, you follow the money, and who gonna lose it? They're gonna cancel you. I'm not gonna lose my money cancel. We don't want to be tied to that person anymore. So it's not cancel culture to me. It's money culture.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel that. It
My bucket. He like, hey,
You right on it, man. You
yeah,
right on it, man. It's right there.
yeah.
So when someone, says something, tweets something, whatever, that is ill-informed or racist or bigoted or what have you, and I feel like there's two things. There's the idea that's presented, and then there's the person.
Hmm.
And I feel like what cancer culture does is like throws the baby out the bathwater type of thing. I feel like we needed some sort of like relationship culture, where it's like, all right, you said this terrible thing. This is why I find it terrible, and have a
Hmm.
have a conversation. I just don't like the idea of canceling a human being. Human beings can't. They have the capacity. We have the capacity to learn, to grow. You
Yes.
know, and I don't think cancel culture sets up that opportunity for that growth. It does the opposite, I would think.
It's 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 counterproductive, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because and I'm not one to borrow shattered facts and run with it. But for people, you mentioned communication, right? I said this before, and I'm gonna say it again. And this is my subjective view of life when it comes to dealing with people. Today's world, we have a lot. I'm not giving a specific number. There's a lot of people that have there's underdeveloped people with overdeveloped ideas of who they are. This creates that friction, that gray area of communication, right? Because now They may not understand certain verbiage that you're using. They may not understand that this word is not offensive. They're using things out of context. I see people every day talk about algorithms and don't even know what it is. It is it's not an algorithm that's happening to you. But people do this all the time. So there's a bunch of people running around throwing words out because they heard it via social media or YouTube, and they use it like a loaded gun, hoping that you are not intelligent or smart enough to either pounce on it or to calmly de-arm that, right? And make it a teachable moment. Some people will take it to be predatory. Some people learn a new word and they run out. And this, like the last 2 years, we've seen a lot of people run with this word space. It's a safe space. Space and Clubhouse had a major impact on entrepreneurship, but it's also a breeding ground for predators, right? For people that prey on what people don't know. A lot of people giving out fake crypto information. I see rappers and artists standing in front of mics giving shattered facts daily, and nobody says a word. So I personally think that there needs to be a certain level of accountability, and we need to check people's credentials when they get telling us things. But we don't. We should, instead of checking credentials, we'll check their likes.
Mm, that's real. Yeah. Yeah. I love that idea. I'm gonna be thinking about this. You said underdeveloped people with overdeveloped ideas who they are.
Yes.
That's deep. I'm gonna be meditating on that one.
You
And
can
I like oh
take
go
that with
ahead.
take it what he said with me. You can take that with.
I'm gonna take that with me. Yeah, we traded there. And you also mentioned shattered facts a few times. I like that imagery too, or that description, shattered facts.
Maybe it's partially true, but it's true because it motivates what they're saying. It powers it, but they're not telling. It's like somebody taking a passage out the Bible, but they take 3 lines, 3 words out of this passage, but they didn't read the beginning and the end. They just took the part that powers what their current argument or stance is in a conversation. It happens daily. We don't. There's not a lot of fact checking, and Google doesn't always. There's honeypots on Google that doesn't always give you the right facts either. You know what I'm saying? So. Um, and I've just learned how to deal with this, bro. It's 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 a layered conversation, but
Mm.
have it. I think that people need to have a certain level of honesty of where they're at because the brain is a muscle, and if people are not exercising it, they won't be able to have certain conversations with you.
Yeah. So moving on to something more controversial.
Let's go.
Um, vaccinations.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know how have you responded to all the vitriol and the back and forth? I mean, I see it in hip hop. There's hip hop cats out there saying, one side and going back and forth. Go ahead.
We know Pete is one of those guys that let's put him because he does it a lot, right? I I personally um health information to me and your stance on what you want to do with your body is just as private as your social security number to a mayor. What I choose to do or not do, if I'm vaccinated or not, it's not anybody's business, right? But if I get into the spot, then you can probably know, oh, he must be vaccinated. I'm still going to tell you. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't tell you it's for religious reasons, non-religious, because once you start making your personal health information public information, it's already a violation of HIPAA, right? There's compliance. They mandating this thing, yes, but there's also a violation of privacy, whether you choose to get it or not. Now, if somebody's not at work anymore, clearly you know they didn't get the shot. But I don't feel like a regular person needs to know your business of if you have the shot or not. And if you choose to, give up that information openly to the public, you need to be ready to receive public scrutiny for how you stand. That's simple human arithmetic and engagement in conversation. Me, you know, my stance is I'm not really for or against it. I really like some people have different circumstances. Women who are breastfeeding can't take it, right? Because they just can't take it because they're breastfeeding. There's certain medical exemptions that you can't take it because it will put you it'll compromise the posture of your health. There's other people who can take it and it won't do that. right? So I don't think it's a one shoe fit all type of a situation. But if you can get it and it's beneficial to you and your family to feed or to keep you everybody healthy, go get it. If you don't think it's healthy, then you don't have to get it. I'm not judging you if you get it or if you don't get it. I think it's just your business, right? And if you, like I said, you want to make it public, be prepared for public scrutiny. You want to keep it private, have those conversations in private with people you love and that it's actually going to affect. But even with the whole Kyrie thing, um, I do think that his public stance should have been a little bit more polished, a little bit more clever, a little bit more thought out. And I do understand that he said he wanted it to be natural, which is his prerogative. But there's certain he was very clever. People forget that this man went to Duke University. He's not a dummy, right? Far from it. He's hyper intelligent because he understands his position on the chessboard, and money is not the motive here anymore at this point for him. I don't know what it is. I'm not qualified to say what it is. But clearly there's a high level of intelligence and understanding that he has that he's not divulging or giving up to the public. So when I think about vaccination and to do it or not, if it's gonna help you feed your family or take care of you or keep you alive, then you have to make that decision. But even after you get it, I don't think you have to tell the person next to you if you got it or not. People who need to know should know. And in any company, your vaccination records have always been private. That's not
Right.
something put on a public stage. So social media, once again, and corporations and big pharmaceuticals and etc. have almost sensationalized the conversations around vaccination or lack of a vaccination. And because as long as the word is keep going, if you like I said, you follow back to the money, who's getting paid for it. So I think when it's all said and done, the documentary comes out next 5 to 10 years. Remember this conversation, right? That once they follow the money trail, we will know the truth, like as to why some people said something, some people didn't. Who knew this and who didn't know that. Um, and this is just the mere theory on it. No, this is not law,
Right.
but I do believe that some things ain't for everybody to know about. You know,
Well, you brought up Kyrie Irving. Regardless of whatever he does or whatever he says, I will always appreciate that man for hitting that 3-pointer to beat Golden State. I've lived in Ohio for almost 20 years, man. I was just hoping for my Ohio brothers and sisters that Cleveland would get a victory. So Kyrie Irving, thank you for hitting that shot, man. That was an amazing shot.
listen, bro, and I'm
Amazing.
always serious like that. I get it, man. Listen, if they wanna, people have fun with your life, man. Like, it's life is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to feel so pensive and dark and morbid. And I think that the last 2 years have put us in a position where people are reflecting a lot more about
Mhm.
dating. That your more the conversations about mortality are real, like so your time here is a blip in the universal scheme of how big and vast things outside of this planet are. Like there's be a blip, bro. Don't let nobody f up your blip, man. That's all I can tell you.
Some people might find that to be like, well, what is the point? Life is meaningless. That blip idea, but for me, I get so excited with that
Mhm.
idea. It's like,
I'm excited,
man,
man. I'm telling you.
yeah, and it puts everything in perspective. Like I was thinking about this the other day. I forget. Oh, it was money. It was some money. There was something around the house that broke down. We had to spend a bunch of money on it, and and I just stopped and I thought, like, man, think about all the people like me in the house next door and the house next door and the apartment next door and around the corner and on the south side and in this city and that city and this country and this country. We all have things that hit us every day, you
Mhm.
know all and there's just billions of us, and it's like in the grand scheme of things, is this one little issue about money that's not going to kill us? Does it even matter? It just brings perspective to me to where it's like, I don't need to stress about this thing. I
Yeah,
can, like you said, I can have fun. I can just enjoy life and not stress about this thing. Just it brings me perspective to
yeah,
enjoy life.
man.
Yeah.
It's intense, man. But you know, to me, Kyrie, I don't know how this is going to play out for him, but you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, man, and the average person is like, yo, it's the money. But I respect I respect a man standing on his values and his integrity, man. That's deep. To me, it's deep. It's super deep. And I think, and to be honest, the money definitely makes it deeper for me. Like, damn, he's walking away from, because I'm thinking from where I'm at, a couple 100 million, things is a different motion out here, right? Um, Kanye's worth 7 billion. People don't have that conversation with him about it, right?
That's crazy.
There's a lot of people are not having that conversation. They're smart for not having it because they're keeping it private.
Yeah, that's probably smart.
We're in an age where privacy is power.
Hmm.
Really, really understand those three words. Privacy is power in the technology era.
Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna be reflecting on that too. Yeah, write that down, profound. You get that?
Yep, I did.
I saw the pen go
Privacy is
down.
power, man.
Well, listen,
Man,
I do want to kind of U-turn back a little bit to the music. One current event musically going on this Sunday is the big battle. KRS-One going up against Big Daddy Kane. We got to get Amir on record. Who do you think is going to pull it out?
nah, we got to get him a disclaimer first.
Oh, okay, get the disclaimer.
Man, Amir, I'm gonna trust that you gonna say the right thing, bro. I'm just messing with you, man.
Um, it's a victory for hip hop. I'm gonna go political on
Okay,
this.
all right.
Thank you. Ah, yeah, he didn't say it. Yeah, see.
Get Daddy O on here. He would not accept that answer.
You
He
know,
would
it's,
not accept it. Dad, we had Stetson Sonic
but
on here last week.
but
We had some fun with this
but
question.
I will say this: my philosophy. That record is crazy, bro. I forgot to write that record down, man. KRS-One's lyricism, Kane slick and smooth. This is two different kung fu styles fighting against each other, man. And it's not even a fight. It's just showing the culture where a lot of these other rappers got their style from.
This is Master Yip fighting the Northerner man in the first Ip Man.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is gonna be pretty
yeah.
interesting, man.
Because you think Kane had what Jay Z under him? People forget AZ is a student of Big Daddy Kane. People forget the artist that he out of Brooklyn that he helped shape the lot, right? The Bronx, KRS-One, right? The home of hip hop. He sticks to those core hip hop values.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Chicken and watermelon. Talk broken English and drug selling. Come on, this is the teacher, man. This is KRS, man. He had joints that Kane records shook, but I'm gonna keep it a buck. KRS-One definitely, I think, stayed more relevant because he kept putting out music in the name for the love of the culture. So I think his popularity may exceed Kane's popularity.
Bro, he has over 25 albums, man.
There's a lot of
Come
albums.
on, man.
But like you said, Amir, it's a win for hip hop. And what I love about it, I remember getting into the battle scene years ago. I'd go to battles with friends and stuff. And I don't know, pretty quickly I was just like, this scene, I'm not really into this because it was just like who had the better attacks on the other MC. It was just like mama jokes and which I mean whatever, but I was just like this isn't. And I remember I had a buddy and he would never do that. He would just straight rhyme. He wouldn't even talk about the other cat in the battle. And he'd win some because he was just so dope. And he was like, that's what it's about. It's about being dope. And that's what I like about a lot of these battles. It's like it's not about attacking the other guy. It's about celebrating each other's, contribution and their catalog. And there really is. I mean, people.
Because people forget the original thing was the producers doing it.
Mm,
When this verses started, it wasn't an artist, nothing.
right.
It was producers going at each other. Remember, it was Timbo and Swiss talking crazy to each other because they were bored during the quarantine. They find a way to monetize it. Somebody, like I said, if you follow the money in any of these corporate, go where it's quiet at, man. The news is where it's quiet at, bro. They're not talking about nothing no more. They don't even talk about it for the culture. They just tell people to do it.
Mm.
You don't know what percentage they're getting off of the deals, or artists are getting paid to do it, or then they get residual income because their streams spike, right? Sales may increase, so it's a quick payout. But ultimately, bro, um, KRS-One versus Big Daddy Kane, and you don't know who they're gonna pull out. People forget. Didn't Kane he had Mad Ism too? Like, I mean, KRS-One. I just
Yeah.
know last
Channel Live.
Channel
channel.
Live.
And I saw him last week too in DC. Hakeem. Um, uh, I ain't gonna front, man. If you get a chance, go watch that My Philosophy video tonight, man. I just never forget. Like, yo, I saw drug dealers. And this is what I said. Like, that was the first time in my life I saw fly drug dealers with the Jordans on and the trenches on and the big chains, and it messed up my life, man. Like, when I saw that view, I said, yo, he's on a Jeep, black and white, and I saw my sister put me onto this. And I'm watching, I'm like, yo, what is BDP? I didn't even know BDP. I just saw the leather jackets with the BDP on the back. I said, yo, I just kept watching this video on repeat. I recorded it on a VCR tape and it was crazy to me. I may lean towards KRS because I'm biased, but then Kane had records that I had to go study. These two artists are artists that my sister put me onto. But I definitely um Ain't No Half Stepping was Kane's one of his hugest records, right? I Get Raw, Ain't No Half Stepping, um, Smooth Operator. Those are the three. After that, I don't know anything about his catalog. There's no disrespect, but KRS got joints.
KRS got to do one song only. Anytime you in anybody's hip hop club,
Bridges
they
over.
play the, and you know it. They play the bridges over. It's done.
Get out of
It's
here.
done. Let alone step into the world. Like, come
Mm.
on, man. Like, you can't.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The P is free. Come on, bro. Like,
Yeah.
how?
What was
I mean,
another record?
can
It was another record he had about
MCs act like they don't know
that.
That
Talk
the
beat.
primo beat?
He was talking about his brother, and he said now this week, he was outside hustling. He came back into the crib.
Love's gonna get you.
Love's gonna get you. Yeah.
Love's gonna
That
get you.
storytelling,
Look,
man.
come on, man. 9mm goes, nah, man. I'm sorry, Kane. I love you, man. I'm sorry, man. Dang, man. I'm sorry, man. I'm just imagining being in that place and every record that KRS-One is gonna play. He gonna freestyle at some point, but every record he gonna play, that place is gonna go up.
I'm not gonna front, but My Philosophy, come on, bro. I'm gonna lose my mind. Like, that record the video is crazy. It's just everything about it. Like the way he was walking. I mean, that record to me was like For the Road on steroids when I seen that shit. It messed up my life, bro. Like, you gotta understand. I saw it was crazy. It was the Jordans. He had the three. It was crazy. It was crazy, man. That shit was crazy. Damn. And that's
Yeah,
something.
Till we need to do live commentary that night, man. Or something, man.
Oh, that would be dope.
Yeah,
Man,
at
bro.
least at least at least 30, 40 minutes and get into it. Y'all don't do a disservice to the hip hop community, man. Y'all need to do that, man.
Yeah, that'd be dope. That would be dope.
Yeah, I think we got it. We're gonna have to look at something. We got to do something, man.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. All right. So speaking of hip hop, I want to read this quote that I saw in your timeline on Twitter, and then show some appreciations for some really dope albums. On Twitter, you put, "I love hip hop. I live it. I study it. I continue to evolve in it. I will always approach each bar with the passion of life." That's
Mm.
such a dope quote. Love that. So, with that passion in mind, want to play a little game tonight. We call One Word. I will show you an album cover. I'll name it for our podcast listeners, and you get one word, or as Profound says, one word or less to describe the album. I'm not sure how you do it in less than a word. I guess facial expressions. I don't know. One word to describe this album. The first one is "Do or Die" by AZ.
Classic.
Classic.
That's my bro too. That's the bro. First take me on tour was AZ.
Oh, word.
Hmm.
What'd you think about his new album?
I went to the listening party. I went over there. It was fire.
Yeah, I like that album. I like that.
Crazy.
Yeah. All right. Next one.
Underrated too. Definitely underrated. Yeah.
Yeah. He's such a phenomenal MC. All right. Next one. We got One for All by Brand Nubian.
Hometown heroes, man. They
Home.
914, man. You know, I'm just gonna say 914 is a word. Westchester. You know, that's it.
All right.
Cool.
We're going to mix it up. Go to the West Coast. A very different style. This is Damn by Kendrick Lamar.
The word I'm gonna use is damn. It's the perfect way for the production, all the way down to the craftsmanship.
That's
That record, I make it look sexy. It was so many. It was that thing was carefully. And no one, I didn't realize until a couple of albums in that Dre had his hands in a lot of Kendrick's albums. I wasn't, I was clueless. I'm like, why does this shit sound so crazy? Dre was in there with him, man. So
and and the thing about Kendrick that he just has such versatility like within the songs, you know. So it's just he's so creative. And that last song, Duckworth, I think is the name of it. The last song, man, that storytelling on there, and
yeah,
that's an amazing story. All right, back to the East Coast. We got Diplomatic Immunity by the Diplomats.
arsonist, my brother.
Oh, that's right. Heatmakers is all over this, right?
Yeah, arsonist, man. I'm one word for that is arsonist. That's it.
Arsonist, okay. How many is it Heatmakers? Is it two?
There's
Two.
one. It was two in the beginning. It was actually three in the beginning. You had Pop, you had Thriller, and Arsonist. You know, the one member ended up going, you know, on his own, so they still kept the Heatmakers brand. Thriller and Arsonist was still doing records maybe 10 years ago. I don't know where they at now, but then it just evolved into being Arsonist, and he just kept the brand of the Heatmakers alive as one person now. Yeah.
Okay. That's dope. They made some dope stuff. All right. This is King Push, Darkest Before Dawn, the prelude by Pusha T.
Damn, this record, man. Love, man.
Love.
I love
Yeah, I really like this album. Okay, we're going into the bonus round. For the bonus round, I'm going to show you two covers, and instead of describing, the question is which album resonates with you more today in 2021? All right, which album resonates with you more and why? All right, on this side we have AT by Outkast, and on this side we have Aquemini by Outkast.
Aquemini.
Ah, Aquemini. All right. Why Aquemini? Oh.
Aquemini, because I think they expanded and was more mature, right? It, the soundscapes were a lot more experimental, but they used more instrumentation on this album. Like it was very like it was carefully a lot. I think a lot more the craftsmanship from lyric to production. This album to me is where you could see Dre and Big Boy were able to stand as solos on a record, but together you realize why they were so special together. But he could have did one half, he could have done the other half. It still would have been a fire album, right? Like the love, like the hate above, and love below, like. But that Aquemini had "She Lives in My Lap" was on there, and a few other records that I thought was like extremely crazy.
That Scoot on the Barbie, man, that
Yeah.
Raekwon verse on there.
Whew.
I've always loved that Raekwon. And yeah, I agree. I think this is a phenomenal. I might like AT Aliens a little bit more. It might be just nostalgia. I don't know the experiences I was having with it, but I think this is their best album, analytically speaking, just
Yeah.
for reasons you said, just so musical. So, all right, last, this is the last part of the double round, the bonus round rather. And all right, on this side we have Doggy Style by Snoop Dogg, and over here we have The Chronic by Dr. Dre. Which one resonates more with you in 2021?
Doggy Style, man.
Oh, Doggy Style. Why so?
It's not a better produced album than The Chronic. But that joint right there, you see more Doggy Style T-shirts on people than you see Chronic. Doggy Style album has become like like an AC/DC T-shirt. That album
Mm,
is now like in skateboard shops. It's in Hot Topic. That cover is now like it. That is Snoop in its purest form to me. I
yeah.
love his rhyme cadence, his approaches, and the album. Even today, man, when I throw that on today, I get that feeling like, damn, Snoop is one of those guys, man. It reminds you of how great him and Dre were together. And honestly, it's honestly what I mean, I pray that when people look back at what me and Pete do, they will compare what me and Pete have done with Dope Boy Soul to something like a Doggy Style. That those records, albums like that is what I strive to, you know, to create with him. Because I know that those albums are not just albums; those are fixtures and bricks in the foundation as this thing continues to grow. These are bricks that we on the wall of hip hop. So,
Yeah.
and him and Dre together was incredible. So if people feel the way about me with Pete that they felt with Dre and Snoop, I'll be okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that would be phenomenal, man. That'd be super dope. Do you have do you tend to have a favorite album of all time? Or do you just have so many that you just can't name one?
Only built for Cuban links, man.
Mm.
Every car I have ever bought in my life, I go buy a Only Built for Cuban links CD and I put it in the glove compartment. It's good luck, man. I don't know what I does. I don't care what the car is. I'm
Wait,
going
you
to buy I'm going to buy Only Built for Cuban links. Put it in the glove. It has to be in the car. I don't. I have to put it in there. It's like the emergency music. If I can't get Wi-Fi, I know what I'm throwing on. This is gonna get played.
so so every time you buy a car, you go out and also buy Cuban Links, the
Absolutely.
CD? That is that is so awesome.
My
That's
my
great.
brother, he thinks I'm bugged out for that. He's like, "Yo, you gonna buy? You going?" He's like, "You must be going to the CD." I'm like, "Yeah, I'll order it. I gotta find it. Put it in the car.
That's great. Are there CD stores in New York City?
To order that joint, you gotta either order it or you're just gonna have to go search for it now. You may
Hey,
catch. You're not gonna get it at Best Buy or nothing. Sometimes you get lucky.
everybody's records here in Cincinnati. We actually got a few record stores here. You can find stuff like actually I found it there. I bought got it. I had it pulled out. Yeah, there it is. I bought this copy actually because I had a copy. I didn't get a new car and got a new one, but my
You
old
see the
copy was all
artwork, the artwork, like certain albums when you see it, it give you a feeling because you know it.
yeah.
Like that was his solo album, but his man is in the back. You see, Ghost, him and Ghost was like a package deal. You knew what it when you saw them on that cover. You knew what it was. When you saw Iron Man and you seen Ray on the cover with Ghost, you knew that this was special. You knew that.
Yo, so I don't have these here, but I am curious. Are you do you lean Iron Man or Supreme Clientele? Or are they equal in your mind?
Apollo Kids is on Supreme Clientele, right?
Yes.
It's tough, man. Iron Man
Big
got,
Big Doe Rehab.
That's dope too.
but Iron Man. No, I'm gonna go with Iron Man because it set the foundation, man. It did. It set a tempo. It set the tempo.
The
Iron Man,
cover was crazy.
bro. Colorful, fly. They had to, I just, yo, I'm gonna keep it a buck, man. The Wu, Ray and Ghost out of the. And I'm gonna give and Method Man to me. The most colorful, vibrant personalities out of the Wu Tang was those three guys. Not saying the other guys are lesser, but to me, they spoke. Like everybody had people in the Wu Tang they wanted to be like. I wanted to be like them, man. I ain't go front, bro. Ray and Ghost, that was it. You couldn't. I would fight somebody about that, like physically get upset. Like you're not talking about them in front of me, disrespectful. You're not disrespecting Ray and Ghost. My brother would tell you that. Amir was. I love them, man.
Yeah, they're two of the or one of the dopest duos ever for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, listen, Amir, man, I really appreciate you coming and spending time with us. Before we get out of here, how do you like people to follow you online?
Well, on Instagram, it's Amir AMXXR. A as in Apple, M as in Mike, XXR. On Twitter, it's 25th Hour Man, number two to number five, THHOURMAN. And those are probably the two. Or you can just go to peacebeloved.com. Find me on there too. Um, and if you're looking for me on Apple Music and Spotify's AMXXR, Amir.
And before we go into our shout outs, I do want to say we didn't get into this, but you have a documentary, short documentary called
Sure.
Peace Beloved.
Mhm.
You can find it on YouTube. It's really interesting how it's done because like you have it's kind of like some music videos mixed in, and then it's like you talking, but then it's like they whoever produced it like sampled like just different people and different like quotes and sayings. So it's like a hip hop documentary in its purest form. Who put that together?
Me and my friend SJ, my man, shout
Okay.
out to SJ. We put that together. Just me and him. Those people you heard on the Jamaican dude is called we call him the General. He passed during COVID.
Mm.
Voice that you heard on the joint. Him, my grandmother, she was in there. She passed a couple years back. So that documentary to me, man. And then I recorded that. Pete. That was the first co-sign that Pete gave me was he presented Peace Beloved. I recorded it with Arsonist. The whole thing was under the Heat Maker Studio. He did some joints on there too. SJ, and I was still in school at the time. I was still at Fordham University, so it was just a very that it was. I'm glad I'm thankful more now that I was able to document those things that were happening more so than it being super popular because I do believe that once Dope Boy Soul hits, and people go research him and they go look at, Peace Beloved, the documentary, because a lot of people are running around saying, beloved this, beloved that, but it was only, one. Honestly, and there's no disrespect. I don't own the term, but Peace Beloved was always something I was using. I even had the title on my wrist for years, right? So, New York City, the slang of beloved and all that, it was me, Loaded Lux, and maybe Raekwon, a few of us was talking like that. People in New York City and New York know what it is, you know what I'm saying, and how the whole beloved movement or the popularity of the word, started to spread throughout hip hop. I can't take ownership, but I was definitely at the forefront of that whole, the peace beloved vibe. That's definitely me.
Yeah, and real quick, if you got the time, what is can you describe what that means to you? Peace Beloved.
Um, well, beloved means I believe in you and I love you to me, right? Peace is what I would wish anybody have peace of mind and know that I believe in you and I love you. So I wish that to people, humanity. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like, but it doesn't mean that war is not necessary to fight for what you believe. But through peace, man, comes evolution because you're able to sit down and you learn and you absorb more. When you're frustrated, you can't really,
Mm.
and when somebody believes in you and they love you or you feel loved and you feel believed in, human beings have done some great things. So when I say peace, beloved, it's more of a term of a what's up. It's like my way of saying it's a term of endearment. It's like when New York guys say, "Yo, son, what up?" Like peace, beloved, is what I've been saying to people over a decade now. It's not new to me, but and anybody that will see this will tell you, "Nah, man, really, he was that way in the barbershop. He was always my neighborhood was calling me your peace, beloved." They'll tell you that for years. So and I did feel crunchy when I saw certain artists tweeting it or put it on their page. I'm like, yeah, I wasn't on it like that. Like, that was my ego going into overdrive. But I had to check myself. And me and Pete even talked about that. I see, you know, uh, artists that have used the word on their projects, but a lot of people wasn't talking like that. They wasn't. If you look back in their catalog, they wasn't talking like that. It was me and Loaded Lux. That was it.
That's dope. I like the sound of it.
Yeah.
That's super dope, man. And
He
it just
was
goes.
he was saying beloved. I was always peace, beloved, as a greeting, And when he did it, he was joking about it on the battle. But people knew that when I said peace, beloved, it was like it was almost a lot of people thought I was a 5%er because of the way I would carry myself, but because I knew a lot of those guys and those teachings. But peace, beloved, was my way of just a way of life, a way of thinking, like I said in the documentary. Yeah,
Yeah. So if you what's that?
it's a state of mind.
Yeah, I love that. And if you all want to learn more about that, check out the documentary Pete Rock. You just type in Pete Rock presents Peace Beloved on YouTube. Done very well, very artistic. You can get a little bit more into the mind of Amir. And the whole Peace Beloved vibe. So check that out, please. If you've not heard 21 Grams yet, go find it. It's out there on the internet and download it, listen to it. I'm sure the vinyl's sold out. Is the vinyl sold out?
I don't even know. I didn't even check. I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure it's tough. If it's not sold out, it's down to its last leg. But I know Pete usually move those vinyls move when his name is on it. So
Yeah. So if you want a vinyl, go to True Soul Records. So search True Soul
yeah.
Records.
Or you can go to Vinyl Index.
Uh,
Vinyl.com has it as well. I'm
there you
surprised.
go.
So in out of Cincinnati don't have it. In Ohio should have it. That's I talked to Dex or somebody about that. Somebody need to make that happen, man.
Definitely. We definitely need to get some
Need to
copies in Cincinnati.
put a few pieces out there for sure.
Yeah. Well, we can get it to the store anytime. I was there today actually at the record store, uh, checking out some stuff. So yeah, we can make that happen for sure. So make sure you check out 21 Grams. Find it, download it, buy it, get it, and the new album, Dope Boy Soul. We don't know when it's coming out, so we'll have to get it. Pete Rock, see if Pete Rock will come on and tell us when it's coming out.
Yeah.
But man, we cannot wait to hear that. I know that's going to be incredible. So make sure you all stay on point, keep on looking for that. When we catch wind of it, we'll be promoting it heavy
I
as much
critical
as we can.
too, man, in y'all reviews. So I was like, damn, these y'all really get in on it. Y'all really review the projects, and I respect that. So thank y'all, man, for what y'all do, because I think the art of being journalistic with art is not respected the way it should be. So understanding what y'all do is just as important as what an artist does, because this is an art form itself. So I
Man,
appreciate.
thank you for that. Really appreciate it. Appreciate it. So the last thing we do, Amir, is we give shout outs because it's a hip hop show. So why not give shout outs? So we'll let you give the final shout outs here in just a moment. But I'll throw it to Profound. Profound, who you want to shout out tonight?
Man, we give a shout out to brother Amir, man, for coming through tonight, brother. Glad to meet you, bro.
Thank you.
Uh, man, you working with the god of the SP 1200 and the MPC and everything else, man. And your work is incredible, brother. And I wish you nothing but continued success on your journey. Till, you know how we do, man. The Boom Bap Chat crew, Till, Joe, Stowe, Bo, and Io, who we gotta shout them out. And man, my C's as usual, Amir, Zakir, Rosalina, Daima, Ariel, and Elijah, who just came in from football practice looking at me crazy. I'm coming, son. Um, man, brother, and that's it, man. And just, and shout out to peace and positivity, man, to humanity, like brother Amir said, man. And that I think that vibe doesn't get stressed enough, especially when we have dope MCs on this platform, that live that code, man, because that's a strong code to live by. And I appreciate that, man. And that's how we do it, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Profound. Definitely shout out to the Boom Bap Brothers and everyone paying attention online. Marcus, thank you for tuning in. David, thanks for tuning in. Let's see, Laurent, thank you for tuning in. Everyone that tunes into the podcast, the Boom Bap Chat, really appreciate you all. Also, everyone, man, we put out this magazine in July or August, and it keeps getting hits. We really appreciate you all going to the site and checking out the magazine. It's boombapmag.com. So people keep going there. We really appreciate that. Hope you enjoy it. Next Thursday, shout out Finale, who is a super dope MC, and we're going to have him on here. So shout out to him. And shout out to our very own Joe November. He's in round 3 of the Noir Grime beat battle on Twitch. And so he's about to take this thing home, man. We're all rooting for you, Joe. Really appreciate you and what you do. And obviously, last but not least, to you, Amir, thank you for being here. Thank you for your music. Thank you for, putting out thoughtful, challenging ideas that we're going to be reflecting on, and hopefully, will make us better people. So we just appreciate that spirit about you. And just thanks for your time and your energy tonight.
Thank you guys, man, for real, man, for having me, man. I appreciate anybody that takes the time to even listen to the art, man. That's you can't put a price on that because we don't get that time back. So I really sincerely appreciate it.
Cool. Thank you, man. Any shout outs you want to give tonight, Amir?
Of course, man, I'm gonna shout out my brother, man, the big homie, man, Pete Rock, True Soul Records, the whole gang over there, the Soul Brothers, man, Jermaine Holmes, Daru Jones, Marcus Machado, Big Yuki, Mono Neon, Chris McBride, um, all of the brothers over there, man. Brandon Newsom, Dex. Um, I'm over here now about with 88 Keys. I'm about to shout out to him for letting me pull up. Shout out to my brother Arsonist, man. Shout out to Success J, the whole 914. My man SJ, I mentioned. Um, um, my man Shanghai, I've been working with him. G Weeks, Alpha Road Entertainment. Um, just a lot of the guys, man. I'm not forgetting anybody, man. My man Josh CL too. I just met with him. We just about to link up and get some work done. My man D in Albany. Uh, the whole 914, man, the whole hood, my mother, my family, everybody, man. Just, I'm here, man. Thank y'all for having me, brother. And look forward to, just making my contribution in this thing called hip hop, man, and doing it the right way, doing it the right way, the strong way, and having, sticking to my core values, man, and making sure that I don't waver in the face of not being liked or loved, you know what I'm saying? But just making sure I stand firm on that. So I pray that, I continue this thing and do it the right way, man. Uphold the force, man. And for myself as well. So thank y'all for having me, brother. And as I always say, man, peace, beloved.
We always say peace, but on that note, we say peace, beloved.
Yes, sir.
Peace,
Peace, peace,
peace,
peace, peace,
beloved.
peace.
Brother, peace, beloved. Yes, sir.